All right. I think we are welcome, amazing single mamas. Hi, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar on mindfulness and stress management. We're more so going to be talking about mindful stress management tips and strategies for single moms and diverse cultures. I am Kristy Angelee, your host and a single mom lifestyle expert. As moms, we juggle so much, and I'm passionate about helping you find peace and manage stress through mindfulness practices. Let's break the ice, okay? So, what's your favorite way to unwind after a long day? If you don't mind, share your go to relaxation technique in the chat below. I'm going to go ahead and ask our guest. We have a wonderful guest on today, and I want to hear her. Before we jump into who she is and all those things, what's your favorite way to unwind after a long day?
That's a great question. For me, is going for a walk because that really helps release all of the emotion, think through, and slows you down, and you can enjoy the outdoors at the same time. So going for a walk, always a great way to relax.
I love it because I am a nature holic. So I enjoy in the mornings a nice run and walk through the breezing, wind and just allowing the pavement underneath my feet to just talk to me and help me to center and calm myself down. So you're right about that. Nature has its own way of sending relaxing vibes and helping us to refocus and recenter ourselves. So with that said, I am honored to introduce our amazing guest. I'm so excited about today's show, you guys. Dr. Ewa, I hope I am pronouncing your name correctly.
My name is Dr. Ewa, yes, Dr. Ewa Kleczyk.
Ewa.
Yes.
Okay, so Dr. Ewa is a healthcare leader with a passion for supporting single moms. Dr. Ewa, welcome. I'm honored to introduce our amazing guest. So we're excited to have you here and hear your insights today. But before we delve into our conversation topics, would you like to share 2 fun facts about yourself to break the ice a little bit more with our audience?
Sure, fun facts. Well, one of the fun facts is I split my time between Maine and Pennsylvania. So I'm right now in Pennsylvania, just came back from Maine. And unfortunately, in Maine was as hot as it's here in Pennsylvania. So I guess we are all enjoying the heat wave very early in the season. The second one is I really enjoy being outdoors, especially water. Lake water has a very calming effect on me, and I think this is something that I always enjoy. Is the view, is the noise of the water, the way it is flowing, and I think this is, especially when we are all stressed out continuously, have a lot going on. I think it's a great way to just sit down and relax.
Yes, it is. I enjoy a good lake. I enjoy sitting on a rock. I always look like when I'm going into nature, going hiking, I look for boulders I can sit I can sit on and just relax and take in the scenery in a different way. And sometimes I have a journal with me so that I can write things, whatever I'm feeling in the moment, whatever, that's coming to me to help me refocus, even like you stated, looking at a lake, looking at, even sometimes if you don't have a lake to get to, a pool, like your nearby swimming pool, right? Just sitting out there and just allowing the vibes of the water to just refocus and recenter you and everything. So I'm excited that you're here with us on today. Listen, I want to quickly just, list off, not because I want to focus on your accolades and all those things, but to allow the theme of today to give context, I would say, to today's theme, right? To mental tips, strategies. You have an impressive career. You're such an amazing woman in a demanding field. You prioritize your self-care and all the things. You are committed to mentoring and empowering others, particularly women. You also have a plethora of magazines and different types of other platforms you have been on, and just sharing your expertise in such a demanding field. But How do you manage it all? How do you, as you stated, going for walks and just being able to still be a leader in healthcare data as a healthcare data analysis, organizing in medicine and drug development, using data to make better decisions and improve patient care? That's a lot. You're an expert in using data to get important information to the right people. That is like a lot of pressure. That is you're also, this helps doctors and scientists to develop new medications and treatments faster. You're also passionate again about helping women succeed in your field. You mentor other women and you have received awards for your commitment in women leadership. In addition to your work in healthcare, you're also an advocate for cancer patients and supports educational programs. I mean, your accolades are listed. It's so much. You have the Presidential Lifetime Achievement Award in 2023, the Rising Star and Luminary recognitions by the Healthcare Business Women's Associations, Empower Woman Award from Sisterhood Extravaganza and Empower Magazine, Top 25 Technology Leader in Pennsylvania by the Healthcare Technology Report in 2023, Top 25 Women in Biotechnology Report. I'm like, the list is exhaustive. I share this again, not to list your accolades and expertise, but to empower women, especially single moms in the global marketplace and ministry arenas, to let them know that how essential it is to have a self-care routine that helps them to detox their mental from stress, overwhelm, burnout, other forms of mental prohibitions that can cause one to not reach their fullest potential as a leader in their God-given industry. Now, with your lineup of work, you help organizations in medicine and drug development. You use the data. Not only do you provide your expertise in the area, but again, you mentor women. Whew. Let me take a breather for you.
Oh, I
Let's
was like a
talk about
breather.
it.
Yeah, reading this off, you don't. It's a, to be honest, I never really think through that until someone reads it off. However, I wanna say first of all, welcome, very much honored to be here, and to all of you listening and watching us. Thank you to the single moms for doing what you are doing. It's not easy to be a single parent. It's not easy to be doing what you are doing, and succeeding in so many areas. And I just want to recognize that, because it's a big job that all of the listeners and all of those who are watching us are doing every single day, and that recognition is not always given where it actually be deserved. So some, as you highlighted, I am really passionate about healthcare, and mental health is one of those aspects. I didn't end up here. I'm not a medical doctor. I have a PhD in economics, but I'm leveraging my passion for analytics to help with how we can deliver the right insights. And I think that's what's driving me, whether it's in mental health, whether it's in cancer, whether it's in any chronic diseases. I'm sure many of your listeners are right now saying, "Oh my goodness, I have, I've had struggles with my health, or someone they are, taking care of, whether it's your child or parent or someone who they love, it's struggling." And I think we all have to give ourselves the recognition, but also realize that this is life, right? We all have a hard time, and I wanna just mention that and say thank you to all of the women, and all of the fathers as well, in case they are listening as well, single fathers who are doing the same thing. You are all doing amazing work. It's never, I want to mention, having a work and life balance is never easy. I do not know that I have it all figured out, and I think we are all learning. And I think as we are going through our life, we figure out what works for us and what doesn't. Some people want to go for a run, others are going to go for a walk, others are going to read a book and they're going to sit, others are going to engage in different arenas. For me, what works is really always finding a place for myself. Whether I like to wake up very early, I'm an early owl, so I wake up, or early bird, and I wake up very around, between 5 and 6, and having that coffee in the morning, it sets me in the right place. And it sounds silly, but it's always very important for me to wake up, clear my mind, and go to work refreshed and with the power, with the energy to go and succeed. The second thing for me is, as I mentioned, I like going for a walk, so I try to do that as much as I can, or figure out some other way of counting in those steps, because it is that minimal movement even is extremely helpful for our bodies. And for those of you who are listening, we don't have to have 10,000 steps put in, but whatever we can put in, and these are different. Sometimes you can get 20,000 in, sometimes you can only 1,000 in. It's okay, but just being able to, for a moment, do some kind of physical activity, I think in whatever shape or form you can do them, it's always extremely helpful. The next thing is, as I'm thinking, is also being empathetic to myself. We don't emphasize self-love enough, especially for us women. We love everyone else and take care of everyone else, but we never look back and say, oh my goodness, I am tired today, and that's okay. What do I have to do to get myself better? And I want to ask all of the women that are listening, be empathetic to yourself. If it's a day that you don't feel like anything is going to get accomplished, or it's been bad, it's okay. Tomorrow is a new day. Tomorrow you can rewrite your whatever you are trying to do, and you can accomplish that. But I think we all as women don't spend enough time and give the love that we require. We're so good in caring for everyone else except for ourselves. So I would challenge everyone here, take the moment for yourself and say a nice thing to yourself. Look in the mirror, say, oh my goodness, I look great. Or look at what I have done. Or to your point, writing up in a journal. If you can write up what you have done every single day, even if it's only five things, I would say do the minimum 5 things. You're going to find out that you actually do and accomplish so much more than you are giving yourself credit for. So some of the things that help me move forward. But have I figured this out? Absolutely not. And it's always it's like everyone else. Sometimes days are better, sometimes days are worse. But I think it's more, how do you start the next day and don't look back? You just keep going and never stop. Just keep going and don't worry what happened. You cannot change it. You can only change what's going to happen to you today, right now, and in the future.
Exactly. I absolutely love the practical tips and advice that you have given to help managing stress. Things that you can do that we can practice daily and not be overwhelmed, especially if you're exercising. And you're looking at everyone else, and especially social media, people putting up there, oh, I walked this many, or I ran these many miles, or I'm getting my exercises in, I'm unbigging my back, or whatever it is. And you can find yourself sitting and saying, well, I'm not doing any of those things. And you can start feeling depression. You can start feeling as if you're not good enough, you're not worthy enough, because you're not doing A, B, and C the way the next person is doing it. But I love the fact that you stated that even if you don't get your 10,000 steps in, 5 steps, do 10% of that. Anything is better than nothing at all. Absolutely. And giving yourself, and being empathetic towards yourself, as you stated. And I like to say, show yourself grace. Give yourself that grace space, favoring yourself in what you can do in the with your current circumstances, especially, those single parents who have, a lot on their shoulders, a lot of workload on their shoulders, having to, work your 9 to 5, get the children ready for school, fix dinner and all the things, not even having time to take a breather to even go for a walk. I've listened to single moms who say they don't even have time enough to take an adequate shower, let alone thinking about eating breakfast. Then you're talking about, moving your body. That is an overwhelm in itself. And then it makes you want to just forget everything. But showing yourself grace in these moments and not looking at what everyone else is doing is also a key in helping to, maintain your mental health. Like knowing what you can do and being okay with that. And when you're able to do more where you can. As we stated earlier, there are some days that's going to be busier than other days. There's some days you're going to have have a lighter load when someone says, okay, I can come and take the children for you. I can come and do this for you. And that's going to give you a breather to do those things where you kind of, made a list of what you're wanting to do according to self-care and all those things. Like, well, I don't have a time to take an adequate shower. Now, this is the day. Let me shower as long as I want.
And to be honest, these are simple pleasures, and I think we do have to reward ourselves and do them. And to your point, it is okay if you don't do certain things. Do I always, I mean, as a very busy professional, there are days that I should not be on camera, right? So, and sometimes I do have to schedule myself as well to take a shower. That's because life happens. And I think we all have to remember that. And I like how you said it is grace, but I also say it's okay when things just don't go your way. And the one thing that I would say is, especially as we're thinking about careers, there's always time. I know people are saying, well, it has a sprint, everything has been done quickly. No, life is a journey. And the journey is going to be in ups and downs. There is going to be a valley. There is going to be a mountain. You're going to struggle. You're going to want to cry. And that's okay. Give yourself that permission. But also, especially for many young single mothers right now, know that there are many single mothers who have a very fulfilling career after they did the duty of the mother, and all of a sudden they fill in the time with some other things. I know quite a few of them who did what they said, okay, today or in the next couple of years, I'm taking care as a priority for my family. I'm doing what I need to make sure that I keep the household going, but I'm taking care of the family. And afterwards, when the kids are already older, they start thinking about what else they want to be doing, right? Do they want to have a career? Do they want to go full job? Do they want to go to school? Life is very long. There isn't any way. There isn't a pathway that everyone has to go through. I think it's actually much better when we all have diversity of when we got in to where we are, because the experiences, the good and the bad, let's be honest, the bad actually probably sometimes help us much more in the future than the good ones are. And they are really helping us establish who we are and bring our authentic self and learn lessons that you have never thought about what it is. So for all of you young single mothers, regardless of the age, the life is long. Do what you need to do, and don't worry. Are you behind your career? No, you are not. You can have a career at any point in your life. There is, I think I saw it a couple of days ago, a woman broke a record for running at age 105. Well, maybe not all of us will be at age 105, but it gives you perspective, right? You can accomplish things long after you think when it's our window that we should be doing things. So I say, if you allow yourself to also focus like this, your mental health is going to get better. It's going to also, because you are giving yourself the permission, and you also are acknowledging that maybe today or maybe in the next year or 2 or 3 or 5, you're not going to do certain things. That's because your priority is your family. Your priority is whatever that might be at the given point. But then later you'll be like, yes, I am ready to do whatever, to focus on myself, focus on my career, go back to school, becoming whatever we want to be becoming, and so forth. And I think allowing yourself to that and understanding that, it's a very empowering, but also it helps you release all of the stress that you are carrying, because you gave yourself permission. That permission allows you not to do exactly what you said. Everyone is on that cycle. I have to be better than whoever posted something last. No, you don't have to, because you do not know what happens behind the scenes in someone else's home. And maybe that's a way of coping or not. So I would say is don't compare yourself to anyone. Always know that your journey is going to be as important as anyone else's journey, but life is long. You can establish, you have many generations to live. So do what you need to do in that piece in order to do your biggest accomplishments, which is being a mother and taking care of your family in that point as well, or whatever else it is on your plate that you are thinking about doing.
Exactly. So incorporating, I was talking to someone the other day about personal growth, and all of this is ties into mental health and being aware of where you are, not only just emotionally, mentally, what you're thinking about, the thoughts that you're thinking on, how you're allowing them to resonate within yourself, and then you are carrying them over into your day-to-day life. As a mentor, you mentor other women in the field in which you are wanting to in the field in which they are wanting to go into. Like, what does that look like for you, mentoring other women? What are some of the personal development or growth that will lead to professional success, that is, that you have to, you recognize that you have to break through just before you get them to be like, okay, now you can think about this career path in this, that makes sense. Yeah.
It does. It does. So first of all, it's going to sound like a cliche, but because life is so long, you want to be doing something that you are passionate. Success doesn't come in that just because you are thinking about, oh, I just want to earn money. That might be your goal as well. That there's nothing wrong with that. But if you want to have a successful career and you want to feel fulfilled, you do have to identify what are you good at and what are you passionate about. I'm good in analytics. I'm not a medical doctor, but I get to impact patients' lives and treatments and access to care indirectly. I get to mentor women coming in and convincing them that technology and analytics is a great field to come in. So I think you have to think through that, what it is that you really like, and what is your legacy that you would like to leave. And some people have smaller legacy, others have larger. The second thing is that I always say is, whatever you choose to do, it never happens within an hour, a day, 2 days a week. It is a continuous work towards what you are, where you are striving. And I think, especially now, a lot of young people think that, oh, I want to be a vice president very quickly. Well, it doesn't happen like that. You have to become an expert. You have to literally learn it. So, so for women, especially as they're coming into technology and analytics, I see that they hope that they're gonna achieve something very fast, but they are not achieving. And very quickly, because they are the only woman in the room, or they are one of a very few, and the competition is not with the males, but it's with the amongst the women, they tend to give up and fall off. That happens more probably with women who are single in this case, because they have other things to work through. But I would say yes, changing the seat at the table depends on all of us. So it's very important, if you don't stick to this, if you don't persevere, and don't get offended by, oh, today was a bad day, so I'm not going to do this, or if you don't start changing the culture yourself and work with others to create the awareness for what you need. Single mothers need certain things, right? They have flexibility of the schedule. They cannot be continuously on. They are providing the primary care, and they are the primary breadwinners. So they are doing a lot of things that others, that women who have partners, are getting support on. And I think stating that and making it known what you need, I think is gonna and staying with that is very important. So I always tell young women, especially, come in, figure out what is that you're passionate about. Know that it's not going to happen overnight. I mean, it happens to some people, but most of us have to work very hard for it, and have a clear and pragmatic objective of where you want to be. And then finally realize, especially in the technology fields, you're going to be one of the few women. So be okay with that, because nothing will change unless you bring your perspective, unless you bring your own chair. As I always say, if the seat doesn't fit at the table you're sitting in, pull out that, bring your own chair, bring your own, whatever, lawn chair, and sit at it. Bring in whatever that is, because you are coming in and you are doing something that's going to change how someone else is feeling, or the future for women behind you. So it's on all of us who are already at the seat, in the boardrooms, at the executive tables, to also understand what single mothers need, what individuals of what minorities need, because we need to. There is a need for all of us to make sure that we build the future the way it is needed. So if any of you are listening, find yourself a mentor, but not everyone is a good mentor. Not everyone will want to be a mentor for you. So be also mindful how you're going to do this. But the moment you ask someone to be your mentor, also realize that this person is going to be giving their time to mentor you. So be prepared for it as well. Take it and learn from it, and take every advice, because I think that's where the biggest learning is coming in, when you are open to the feedback, when you are open to hear that there might not be always easy, and there will be obstacles that you have to figure out how you're going to maneuver. And that is going to be a long journey, and especially for single moms, when there's other things coming in, we all have to always think about it. What else does it mean, and is it, and how do we maneuver in the times that it's a little bit tougher?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And when you know these things, this is going back to, you stated earlier, about writing things down.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you're having those moments of reflecting over your day, it could be in the mornings, first things in the morning. I have a routine to where I get up in the mornings, and that's my time of writing and setting my course for the day. And then at night, I do the same thing. I write and reflect over what has taken place from the day, that I can leave in that day or carry with me to the next day, depending on the wisdom that's lying within it. And so when a single mom or a woman who is wanting to who's aspiring to be in the field that you are aspiring to be in, they have all these other obligations, and they're trying to figure out, how am I going to make this all work? Sitting down with yourself and looking at the skills that you have and what you can bring to the table. That way, as you are pulling your own chair up to the table, you're pulling your chair up knowing what you have to offer, and allow people to look at you differently. Allow them to see you pulling up a lawn chair when everybody else have these executive, wing back chairs or whatever. Be different. It's okay, because you know what you're bringing to the table. But that goes back into those moments of your self-reflecting, writing these things down, how you're feeling about your day, about circumstances that you're faced with, and what tools did you use in those moments to allow yourself to bounce back from the setbacks. And talking about bouncing back from setbacks, and I know that you've had to navigate difficult moments in your career and personal life. So how have you developed resilience and bounced back from setbacks?
Great question. I think we all are learning anytime there is something happening to us, and there might be, a family member passing a difficult situations, losing a job, losing a loved one, being sick, and whatever that might be. Let's be honest, not many of us are always the best, including myself, in how we react to certain things. But that also allows us to understand where our boundaries are and when do we have to correct ourselves. So, and then when that situation comes back again, if we did our homework and we did our learning, now we know how to do this. And I think over time, you're also realizing that sometimes our response is purely because we have never experienced this. And we are not thinking rationally, we are more thinking emotionally. And I want to say is, it's okay to think emotionally, but then we also have to reflect back, what would I have done it differently, and how can I do it moving forward? So I always say that. And then the other thing is, which is very hard for me, and I think for many women, don't take many things personal. It's a easy to say, much more difficult to do. But the moment we are allowed to take things personally, it's now about us. But very often, people that make comments or decisions that are being made have nothing to do with us. Have nothing to do with us. Very rarely do they have has anything to do with us. If anything, it might be a group of people, and we might be one in the group of people, right? There might be, let's say, there are layoffs or something like that. It's not really that particular person. It's usually a group of people, or something else happens. And I think, or people making comments, or people not realizing what you need. Well, they're not realizing, not because they don't want to realize they are targeting you or anything like that. They just do not know. So the moment you raise it up, you're like, oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. I never thought about it. Now you educated someone. Now you know that certain things happening to you might not be, not because you did something wrong or it's more personal. It's just sometimes others need to be educated, and it's on us to do this. So I think always stepping back, looking what happened. And I think at the end of the day, sometimes maybe it's the next day or a couple of days later, evaluating the situation and learning. And then when the thing happened again, just saying to yourself, I survived that. I know how to navigate this. And that's why, for those of you young women, especially listening, there will be hard times. We all have hard times. You're
Mhm.
gonna be dealing with a lot of different things, especially as single parents. So so know that it's okay, but also know that every difficult situation gives you the tools for the next situation to be that much easier, because it's familiar, because you
Mhm.
know how to respond, and you also know how you responded previously, and you know whether you liked it or not, and now you have the chance to correct yourself and respond with much more maturity or much more thought or whatever that might be in the situation. So I would say always learn from these. Never doubt how you responded before, because no one is in your shoes, you are the only one. But also
Mhm.
don't make personal about you, because for most often most people think don't even recognize the situation they are in, and I think it's up to us to bring it up in a positive way and say this is what we need in order to make the situation better. And if we
Mhm.
know that, the resilience can be built, the
Mhm.
the forward-looking situation can be built, and I think the success is going to follow, and follow in a way that it's needed. The last thing that I would say is, in our lives, we should always define what success is.
Mhm.
Success is not only financial, success is not only getting an award. Success sometimes is surviving a day that was very difficult and putting and waking up the next day
Mhm.
and saying, wow, I never thought that I could survive Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, whatever that might be. And look at me, I'm here. And giving yourself that grace, that empathy, but that self love, saying and congratulating yourself for that little step, because there is nothing more freer than telling yourself it was okay that you couldn't wake up yesterday, but look at that, you woke up today and you are ready to take that world and do and continuously do what you need to get done. So to all of
Mhm.
you women there, give yourself a grace. It's okay sometimes, to feel horror, like like you want to cry. I would say cry,
Yeah.
cry, get it out, think about it, and then the next morning you're gonna feel that much better. You're gonna be proud of yourself that you woke up and you are ready for whatever life is throwing to you, because now you know how to deal with it.
Mhm. I love it. I love it being able to allow yourself to feel in those moments.
Mhm.
Allow yourself to understand what success looks like to you, because we can measure our success a lot of times on someone else's success, because we haven't sat with ourselves long enough to think about what success looks like. And we look at what everyone else is saying around us. If this what makes make you successful, if you have the house on the, with the white picket fence, or driving this car, or eating in this restaurant, or self-caring this type of way of getting your nails done, hair done, all the things.
Mhm.
But even self-care can be just, I need to cry right now, as
Mhm.
you stated. I
Yep.
need to take this moment to cry so I can empty myself of all the toxic that has been building up from this situation taking place. Now I'm starting something new, or I was furloughed, or I didn't get the babysitter so I can get to work on time, or whatever it is. And you're allowing yourself to take a moment and sit in your car and cry it out.
Mhm.
And that is
Absolutely.
successful, because you allow yourself to do something where people are saying you shouldn't cry over that. Oh, get over that. Oh, that's not necessary, or whatever, that make you feel as if what you're dealing with is inhumane. It's not real. You just need to get some tough skin, when all along, no, our emotions are there to trigger us when something is going on, so that we can learn how to effectively. Emotional intelligence is the key
Mhm.
to properly, utilize those emotions in the right way, so we won't vomit on people. We won't be, emotionally barfing on when we are, as you stated earlier, when someone is in the workplace and they are going off on you seemingly, but it's not targeted to you. They're just emotionally stopped up because they didn't have an outlet. They did not know how to manage what they were going through effectively. They didn't know how to stay calm and focused under pressure, as what you were talking about.
Mhm.
Don't give so much weight to something that is not really about you. But if you haven't taken time out to take those walks, write in your journal. These are practical things that may seem so basic, but when you go back and read that journal, you can like, wow, I
Oh.
overcame this.
Mhm.
Wow, I was going through that, but this is where I am now. Wow, I didn't know by me speaking up for myself in that setting allowed this type of conversation to happen. And now I have that tool, I have that strength to utilize this in another situation. I love that. I love how you just defined what success is all about, when you sit and you really think about what it looks like for you, not what it looks like for everyone else. And that can come along too with what other people are telling you, especially single moms, what other people are telling you what you can and cannot do because you're a single mom. No, you can't not work in this position because you're a single mom, but you could work in this position. No, you cannot be in a C-suite because you're a single mom, but you could do, housekeeping. You can't, and so when we really take a time out to look at what we define as success, then we'll be able to have those conversations and navigate those difficult places in a much more resilient manner. I love it.
And I would just ask, as you are saying, is do there is a none for no woman there is any ever boundary for what we can accomplish, and
Mhm.
try for it, whatever your situation is. It's world is a world for world, first of all, is huge. You can pivot the way you want it. You want to be a
Mhm.
CEO, and and you're a single parent. Nothing stops you. Nothing
Mhm.
stops you to do that. You can still do this. You want to change
Mhm.
the workforce, so it allows for single parents to have these possibilities and do this. We all have to do this, and we all have to be the advocates, because if we don't do that and
Mhm.
educate, it's going to be always the same way it is. And the first time you do this, or if you're first person making the change, it's never easy. But it's
Mhm.
very important for the people behind you who are coming after you to have that set up, because that means that you just broke the glass ceiling in whatever way that might be, that you just change the perception and the perspectives of a lot of people. And I would say is my major comment is always define your success, but your success can be anything. And don't feel like you cannot do something that's because of your circumstances. I actually say you can probably do more because of your circumstances, because you can redefine it in a way
Mhm.
that it's helping and it's motivating you. And very often individuals, what I see is those who have a lot on their plates are the most efficient individuals around, and they get a lot of very much done very, very quickly. So take the advantage, write up exactly what you want to be doing, what are your best skill sets, and go for it. And always know that while life is very long, you can do whatever you want to do, but if you feel you want to do something right now, you should find a way to do it, because there
Mhm.
isn't, in this world, especially with social platforms and engagement you can find, there is really no definition any longer. How do you climb the ladder, whatever the ladder,
Right.
how you define that? It You can define what the ladder is for your own circumstance, for your own family, for anything that you are trying to do as well.
Mhm. Exactly. So talking about mentorship and the importance of community, you were talking about gathering other people around you as well. You mentioned earlier about finding a mentor. What
Mhm.
does that look like? Because I know there may be some, people listening and they're like, okay, I'm always hearing about having a mentor and A, B, and C. So what qualities would you say to look for in a mentor?
Yeah, that's a great question. And mentors can come in many different shapes and flavors and forms, I would say, right? So you can look for someone who is an expert and you want to learn from them. So look who is the expert at your company or in your community that you want to get to know. And it can be very informal. You just go in for a chat, for a coffee once a month, and you talk about it. Mentor can be also someone who can professionally help you, meaning professionally teach you the leadership skills that you need to do, that you require to move in the leadership ladder. So they tend to be then they might have a slightly different way of looking at you. So don't be surprised if you're gonna receive a well, you need to probably do this. You need to maybe behave slightly differently. You need to dress differently or take these courses. So they're gonna tell you some advice. And finally, a mentor can be just a person who's a very objective person that you trust, who is not involved in your personal life, who you know, but
Mhm.
is not involved, because we all have blind spots. What I like to say is I
Mhm.
like having people who are my mirrors. What it means is they can I can be myself, the authentic self, and they can tell me what's going on. And sometimes being, I want to say, authentic self is the best thing. You always have to be in your own voice. But there are some tweaks that we all can make depending on where we are trying to go to help with this, right? Whether it's emotional intelligence or taking courses. So find someone that can be honest with you and not be afraid to tell you what they think, what you are doing. Clearly, you want this person you need to trust, and they have to have your best interest in mind. They always say, always have to be a best interest in mind, regardless what your mentor type is. Many companies have mentorship programs where you would apply, you would write up what you want. If your company has it, do this. Apply, figure out what you want. Do you want a leadership mentorship, or do you want an expertise leadership? They are, again, different, and different leaders or different mentors can be assigned to do that. A mentor needs to choose you the same way as you need to choose them.
That's a big one.
It is, well, and it's because A, they're spending time, but B, sometimes not everyone will connect. You have to connect, right? You have to connect at a professional and a personal way, because they're gonna be sharing tips and tricks for you and you have to be comfortable hearing them as well, because they might be giving you real answers to questions that you are asking. So be okay with that. And then finally, what I would say is there's plenty of, you can also benefit from organizations. There's plenty of women organizations or professional organizations that have group mentorships. I started with a group mentorship where I was one of the mentees, and the woman was a professional in the healthcare industry, in analytics, and there were 5 of us. And what was very good about it is it wasn't only the her and I talking, but there was also other perspectives from other experiences. And what quickly told you is that my experience is not the only experience, and I'm not the only one experiencing that, meaning the same experience or the same thought is around, among my peers who are in that group. So think about they want a one-on-one, but be ready for it. These tend to be much more, you have to really commit, and because the person is going to commit to find group mentors as well, or mentorship programs where you can benefit not only from the mentor's view, but also from everyone else on that group. And that's what allows a lot of young people especially realize that they are not alone in their pain, and they can really share whatever they need to share, and together figure out how they move forward, whether it's professionally, personally, or whatever other ways it is needed.
And this is something that you're very passionate about, and mentoring others, particularly women. And so as you were talking on, some of the benefits of what to look for, the qualities, how have you seen such a support system contribute to overall well-being and stress management for the women that you work with, or in single moms or single parents in general?
So first of all, if I am mentor to someone, whether it's in a professional way, or like decided way, or it's more of an informal, formal versus informal, it's for me, I always want to make sure that the mentee tells me what they are trying to accomplish in these meetings, and this is where it's very important for me to ask, can I give you feedback? Not everyone is ready to get feedback, right? But you hopefully go into the mentorship to get the feedback that you need in order to move. However, not everyone is realizing sometimes that when they are coming in, they are not open for that. So then, depending on how the conversations are going, I try to help them first. Maybe let's talk about the bigger issues that you're talking about. What are you experiencing? Where you're trying to be? Where you're trying to go? And then work with them towards what it is that is really holding them back, or where they want to get the most mentorship in, because that's what is important. Do they want to hear my story, or do they just want to need someone to vent to someone? And that's okay. Sometimes venting is actually very important, and mentors can be good, but we all get into these hoping that we can help whoever the mentee is, to help them with whatever they are struggling at that given time. So I always try to evaluate it, what it is that the person is trying to figure out, and am I really acting as a mentor, or am I acting more as a sounding board in this case? It's more of an informal setting. If I'm acting as a true formal mentor, then it's much more much more organized. And this is when I say usually probably once a month you meet, and you spend the time really digging in. Talk about the different techniques. Talk about what you need to get done. Have you thought about this? Have you thought about that? Talk about the situations at work that happened that the mentee didn't know how to respond, so we can then evaluate them and then say, okay, I would have responded maybe like this. Maybe in the future you want to stop yourself. You want to take a deep breath before you respond. You don't have to respond to email. You immediately you can have 24 hours to respond to an email. It's acceptable, like little tips
Right.
to help them, because a lot of young people, especially in today's culture, it's the continuous. Well, now. Well, you can't think, right? So I think those basic things can really help us. And to all of you mothers listening, there isn't ever a need to respond to anything within immediately. You in most cases you have time to think through what your response is and respond it in your own language and in your own tone and with the authentic self that you require to make yourself feel, to make sure that you can control how you are responding, but also it is representing you as the person that you are.
That is so true, because we can get caught up in responding to emails or text messages immediately. And you're always so connected to your phone or any other device where you do respond. And that could be overwhelming. That can make you feel like frustrated and no longer, if you did start off loving the job or your business or your career, you could start becoming burnt out. You could be, start feeling resentment, and then you become snappy in your response to people. You won't love what you're offering or what you're doing because you're so connected to feeling as if you have to respond immediately. So showing some, 1 to 2 days of, space between, responding to someone, as you stated, that way you can give yourself time to clearly think on the response.
Absolutely.
Clearly think about how you're answering, if this sounds good. And if you don't know if it sounds good, send it to your mentor that can help you say, oh yeah, this sounds right. Instead of, because you get into a lot of trouble if you respond, especially when you're dealing with contracts, when you're dealing with customer service, when you're dealing with something that is really, going to change your economical well-being, or, even change your personal, so making sure that if you don't know the right words to respond, send it to an accountability partner. So that is, I feel like, as you were stating, one of the importance of having this support system, so that because we always don't have the right words to say, especially when it's something new that's presented. I don't know how to respond to this. And if you just respond then and someone has a better way of responding, now you just messed yourself up, or, messed up the next person for whatever, maybe a deal that you were doing. Maybe it was responding to as a, analytic, something that the doctor or the medicine, whatever it is. And instead of thinking things through and allowing someone else to be your sounding board, you just responded because, oh, I got to respond. Oh, and that's stressful.
Absolutely. And I think that gives you also the empowerment for thinking through, but also not feeling guilty, because usually you have 24 hours to respond, and even if it needs sometimes longer, you can always say, I got your message, I will respond, by X, and it's okay. At least they know that you have read it, and you can do this. So I think to all of these, and I would say is for all of us, whether we whatever part of lives we are in, things can wait. There is never a rush unless there is really, there are clearly circumstances where you have to do certain things in a very quick way. But 90% or 95% of our lives, decisions can be made in a different state or given time to think through and really think the different scenarios of how you're responding, or to talk to someone else to seek guidance and ask these questions. How do you deal with something if you have that luxury of doing?
Exactly. So I see your expertise in healthcare and drug development, and we're going to be wrapping things up, but I want to kind of just really, take us through. Can you tell us a bit about how you discover its benefits and how it helps you manage stress?
So knowing what I do at work, I think it's helping healthcare industry to really move forward to find the right therapies. For me, that's what keeps me grounded, knowing that I have a I have an impact on healthcare access, treatment, and finding the right, ensuring that everyone at the right time has the treatment and the diagnostics tools that they require. So being grounded in this, it changes my perspective, because whenever I work on something at my work, I always think about it. Who ultimately am I impacting? Is it the
Right.
patient? Is it the family? Right.
Hmm.
So we never really think about it from that perspective, but it's usually the patient has family as well. So you always have to think about that. The second thing is for me, there will be days, it's like in any corporate America, you have pretty fast timelines. You have to get certain things done. Sometimes, as you know, you have to also think about it from timelines, but also what you are doing, how does it change it. So I always try to give myself that benefit of the doubt that yes, today is going to be a busy day, but tomorrow will be quieter, because I will know that I have finished something. So
Hmm.
I have become flexible with, yes, I'm working longer today because I have to, but tomorrow, I know that I'll be able to take a little bit of a break. And with single mothers, you probably not have that luxury every single day to do this, but mostly what I'm stating is giving yourself that permission to know that not every day will be different, will be the same, and you can change your perspective or how you are navigating the day depending on the circumstances you are dealt with, because nothing is given, right? So nothing. So that knowing that today I might be working 12 hours, 15 hours, but tomorrow I can get a little bit more rest, that
Hmm.
gives me that grounding that I require, so I don't get overwhelmed and I know that I have to just push myself through. And again,
Hmm.
that goes back the same thing for single moms doing a lot of work by themselves. Having that technique can be also applying to all of the daily activities that single mothers are faced with. So give yourself that grace. But again, for me, is also taking, it's knowing what the ultimate outcome is, and also for all of you women listening, whatever your expertise are, your community probably need that expertise. The last part that I would say is what helps me with my stress is knowing that I can take the expertise that I learned in the corporate America in my current job and apply it to my community to benefit my community.
Right.
There is nothing more rewarding than knowing that you can impact someone's life. And in our communities, we can see it very quickly, right? When your involvement and how the involvement changes, you can see the families, you can see the patients. You probably know many of the in my patients that might be struggling, so you can see that, and that can be extremely rewarding in that case by applying everything that I'm learning. um, I would say one thing. I don't have any crystal ball. I don't know, how sometimes I get through the days. It's mostly you are giving yourself, right, that permission, knowing
Hmm.
that not every day is gonna be great, and you just wake up the next morning and you say, I will do it again, and just continuously driving yourself forward, regardless how bad the previous day was. And I will tell to all of you listeners, days will be good, bad, or indifferent. Cherish them all because they are the best way. But if you need to take a moment for yourself, take it, and then wake up the next day and be ready for whatever life is going to give you, because that's the only way we are all can deal with this, and also have the perspective of what's happening, knowing that again, not everything is about you. Circumstances will change, they're usually temporary, and self-love is going to get you through the hardest times that you can have.
I think those are some great mindfulness, practices to know that every day is not going to be the same, but what you do today can affect your tomorrow.
Mhm.
And it can be, if you're being mindful and understanding and going in with this, being intentional about your day. Okay, if I have to work hard today, then tomorrow I may get a chance to, work a little bit easier. I may get a chance to, do something that is, I would say, more relaxing or more enjoyable. But I put in my time today because I'm looking for a greater ROI on tomorrow, even if it's making a difference in the community. What knowing that you're doing something to impact your family, someone else's family, your children, your spouse, whomever, that is rewarding. That is a, practice that we could hold on to. Like, it's not about us. We're not just doing this just so that we shouldn't just be doing it just to get a paycheck or A, B, and C, because if you're doing it, you're going to burn out again. You're going to get tired. You're going to not be as fulfilled because it's attached to something that can, drastically change, such as being furloughed or whatever the case may be. So our cultural backgrounds can shape our approach to mindfulness. Are there any specific practices from your cultural heritage that you find particularly helpful for managing stress?
So that's a great question. For those of you who do not know, I grew up in Poland. Came in when I was 17 years old for school, for college, and one of the things is Polish people enjoy family. So the time with family, we are all very tight knit with family. So while I don't see my parents very often, whenever they are here, I take full advantage of that, and it feels like we don't like we haven't lost any time. The second thing is, for anyone who is spiritual and enjoys, I grew up in the Catholic Church. Not that I go to Catholic Church a lot. However, what I'm saying is sometimes I do need to that greater good, that greater spirituality. And
Right.
I'm very lucky to have a very large Polish church not that far from where I live. And that's, when I really need it, when I need something else that I cannot explain, that we can, that spiritual part that we awesomeness required to heal your soul, that's what really helps. And also being able to connect back with my roots, speak the language, maybe have some food. And I think that has been really, really important. So I would say, yes, Polish people are all about family. They work very hard, which is a big thing for all of us, but it's also all about being with the family, being mindful of that, and then cherishing that spirituality, whatever way it can be. And we have now many different forms of how we cherish, spiritual, being spiritual. It can be going to church, can be going to synagogue, can be going to mass, or can be just doing yoga or just taking breathers, right? Doing so whatever that is, I think is very helpful. And I know that in the points when I am really needing that, for me, the spiritual component comes in, and being in the Polish church with Polish people changes my perspective and grounds me back, reminds me where I came from. And so again, that authenticity and owning your experiences and your background and your cultural heritage, it's also very important, because it really helps us explain where we came from, but also why we are sometimes feeling certain ways, because we have grown up in certain environments.
Right. I love that. Yeah, exactly. Because if you don't have anything that you can connect to, even if it's a higher power, if it's your family background, then you're pretty much that stressful, because now where do I go to find answers? Where do I go to, why do I think differently when I'm in this country versus here? Because your culture plays heavily on who you are as a person. It shapes you, it shapes your thinking, it shapes your emotions, whether we believe it or not. So if you can kind of identify why I'm feeling this way, and it's based off, my family, and why you love being around people, or why you love feel like I love elderly people, or whatever the case may be, and putting yourself back in that space will help you, like you stated, manage your stress, because you understand, this is a part of who I am and what defines who I am. And without it, a part of me is missing. And so once you reconnect with that, you can find another way to, okay, all I needed was some pizza. Something that reminds me of all I needed was, yeah. Yeah, so sometimes starting a new practice can feel overwhelming. What are some tips you can share with our audience to help them overcome initial hesitations and integrate mindfulness into their lives?
I would say yes. First of all, there will be ups and downs. So just know that I think if you free yourself from thinking that you're gonna be perfect, none of us are perfect in any shape or form. Two, it takes a work. It takes long time and it takes work, right? I mean, not everything is coming in easy. And if it's coming easy, that probably means that you are not learning or you're not accomplishing as much. So always know that doing something for the first time, it's going to be scary, it's going to be different. You're going to struggle a lot. But knowing that that's what it is, and you're going to, at the end, come out of that, I think it makes you that much better and that much more prepared to whatever it might come. And then always, when you're doing something for the first time, you get frustrated, you get upset. So having that place where you can go in, whether it's exercise, whether it's talking to your friends or parents, or going to church or whatever, or having your favorite meal, that can really ground you and give you that perspective. So in those cases, when you are doing when you feel the most overwhelmed, you're doing very difficult things, always go back to what settles you at the end of the day, and know that once you do that, that allows to release a lot of the emotion, but also continuously say, I'm gonna wake up next morning and do and get better, and just continuously reinforce yourself that it's a learning process. If you already knew that, you wouldn't, you would be already whatever accomplished so much more. But right now you are learning this, and it should be hard, and it should be where you are doing this, and give yourself permission to feel whatever that might be that you're feeling at that given time.
Amazing, amazing. So we're wrapping things up, and I want to make sure that our audience is able to connect with you, to learn more about you, to work with you, to be mentored by you. Drop those social media handles or however they can connect with you.
Sure, they can go into Instagram, and if they put in Dr. Ewa Kleczyk, they should be able to find me on Instagram. My profile is public, so look me up there, connect with me, and I would love to chat on any other topics or answer any questions anyone may have.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Dr. Ewa, for joining us on this broadcast on today. If this broadcast has been beneficial to you, I invite you to join my free newsletter community. You'll get weekly tailored resources to empower you on your mindfulness journey, including self-care essentials to help you boldly step into leadership. You can sign up at bit.ly/Kristy Angelee Co. The KA and C are all capitalized. Single moms, before I say goodbye, I want to leave you with this empowering question. What's your I can? When it comes to prioritizing your well-being, Dr. Ewa offered some fantastic mindfulness strategies, and I hope they inspire you to create a self-care routine that empowers you to lead a more fulfilling life. Remember, you are worthy of self-care, and even small acts of mindfulness can make a big difference. Thank you so much for joining us.